President Trump, meanwhile, is threatening to block the opening of a bridge connecting Detroit and Canada, quote, until the United States is fully compensated for everything we have given them. The Gordie Howe International Bridge has been under construction since 2018 and would be a third route connecting Michigan and Canada, including another bridge and a tunnel. U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer defended the president's stance on this earlier today.
They didn't necessarily use American content in a bridge that's going into the United States. There's a question as to the proceeds of tolls, et cetera, and so there's going to be a negotiation on that front into how that bridge should be treated. If it's going to be going into the U.S., which is the main economy, right? We have a $29 trillion economy. The Canadian economy is, between $1 and $2 trillion. The United States needs to make sure that it has its fair share of any proceeds from that bridge.
CBS News White House reporter Olivia Rinaldi joins us now. What is the president trying to get from Canada, and how could he potentially stop the opening of this bridge?
Well, it's a good question. Caroline was just asked about this just now in the briefing. She said the president was clear that Canada will control what crosses the bridge, and the White House finds that unacceptable. Caroline also confirmed that the president and Prime Minister Mark Carney of Canada spoke about this earlier today. Carney, in his statement, said the situation will be settled. This is a bridge that goes between Detroit and Ontario, and as you mentioned, one of several transportation ways between the two countries, between the U.S. and Canada. And it's mostly owned by Canada, although there's some joint ownership with Michigan there. And this could really impact those auto parts and steel that cross between the U.S.-Canadian border. And as we've mentioned and as we've talked about this, the U.S. relationship with with Canada has become pretty fraught recently. It's gone back and forth where the president likes Mark Carney, but they struggle on these issues of trade. Just in January, the president also threatened a 100% tariff on Canada, which has been something that has, really galvanized a lot of issues in that trade relationship. Certainly something to watch very closely. But as you heard Jameson Greer say in that soundbite there, the issue is really the tolls and the payment, really looking to settle the score on who is going to be able to receive some of the tolls from the mass amounts of freight that go over that bridge due to the steel and auto parts that come into the U.S. and then back over to Canada for assembly lines, for cars in particular. So certainly something to watch closely to see really how this gets settled and what the relationship between the U.S. and Canada looks like going forward, as the president has shown no hesitation about showing his anger towards Canada and some of the particular trade issues that hang over the U.S. trade relationship with Canada.
And the Trump administration isn't inviting any Democratic governors to the traditionally bipartisan National Governors Association's meeting at the White House next week. What's going on there?
Well, it's interesting. So we heard that Governor Moore of Maryland and then Governor Polis of Colorado were not invited to the dinner, which is typically a bipartisan dinner that is held. Now, the White House has not really told us as to why they weren't invited, but we had confirmed with both of their teams that they were not invited. So as a result, the Democratic governors, in a show of solidarity, are not going to show up to anything that is happening as part of this National Governors Conference that happens every year. And this is quite important because it's where the White House talks with these states about their key issues that are going on, really increasing relations between the U.S. Government and the federal government and state governments. So quite notable there. But the White House tells us that many Democrats were invited to the dinner at the White House and others were not. These are White House events, and the president reserves the right to invite who he wants.
Olivia Rinaldi, thank you.